So when did you join the Marines?
I joined in 1940 in July, and I was just turned 17.
And so by the time you came to New Zealand, how old were you?
Well, I was just 18 because we landed at Guadalcanal in 42, August 7th, 42. And then you went to go through training at San Diego at the recruit depot. Then we were at Camp Elliott, then we went to Fiji and Samoa, and then to Guadalcanal. And stayed there till we come February of 43. We come around and down into Aotea Wharf and up to Paekakarki.
You were saying you didn't know until you came around the corner that you were coming to New Zealand. What was your first impression?
Well, the thing is that where we come from, like in Denver, Colorado, where I was raised, and back in the middle of the states, that you get to the point that you've never seen the ocean. You've never seen anything out there like that, ships and all this other stuff. So we went by train from Denver to Los Angeles and then down to San Diego to recruit vehicle. And it was a whole new world to us. And there was 4 of us. We were just 17 years old, and the first time we seen the outside of the country there. And it was really good. And we trained at Camp Elliott, California, which is out just above San Diego, and 2nd Regiment, 2nd Division. And then we left there on July 1st, and we were landed in Guadalcanal August 7th, 42.
Now you were posted up here in Camp Mackay?
Yeah. We come down, on February of 43, all 2nd Regiment, and we all come back here to form the 2nd Marine Division. And so we come down here. We didn't know we were coming here because when you was aboard ship, that you didn't know where you were going. They didn't tell you a thing. And the only time we found out we were going to New Zealand when we was going in Cook Strait, and we asked questions and nothing. And then when we get around the corner and we seen Wellington, the city, but we didn't. They told us New Zealand just when it was getting here. And we didn't know, I didn't know where New Zealand was. I never heard of New Zealand before then. So you didn't have a clue. You just thought it was another island.
So when you got into harbour, we've been told that the Americans had got into the habit of emptying the ships completely.
Yeah. Well, we landed at Aotea Wharf, and we were all up on the deck waiting, and we looked and seen the white ladies and girls and everything, because none of the ladies over in Guadalcanal, they're all a little bit dark. It's a terrible thing to say, but it was a change, and to see it and everything, it was really great. And the Aotea Wharf, and we went to come out to camp out here at Paekakarki, and went up. We were up on the hillside, 2nd Regiment, at Mackay's Crossing, and seen the tents and everything, and we tried to settle in, but they took us into working parties into unload the ships and reload them because they loaded them the wrong way, and what a mess that was. And then we come back to camp, and we spent the rest of the time, we got liberty maybe every 3 days and go into town. And I met Marjorie, and I think it was September, and we got married. And I don't know why we got married. We were both 18, and I told her that I was going to be leaving November the 1st for Tarawa, and that was a sad time. But it happened. So I took off, and we went to Tarawa, and then I spent the rest of the time in the Pacific. From Tarawa, we went to Honolulu and went over to Hawaii, the Big Island, and trained again, and then we went over the Marianas to Saipan, Tinian. And then we went to, stayed there and kept training, and then we went to Okinawa. And then I was sent back to the hospital. I had malaria that bad that I couldn't do anymore. Then I was there for a year and a half, and then 1948, Marge come over on the Orcades, and we didn't even know each other after 5 years. And
Do you need it? Would you like a glass of water?
no, that's
You're
fine.
okay?
So anyway, Dale Stout asked her, we were down there, we were going to meet her. And he says, what did she look like? And all I could say is, how the hell do I know? I haven't seen her for 5 years.
So you got married and you left for 5 years.
Yeah, and stupid. And it wasn't because she was pregnant or anything like that. We were just silly, I guess.
In love?
I guess. I don't know. I can't spell that word.
But you stayed with her for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And
then she stayed there, and my oldest boy was with me, Dave Welling. He was born in Hawaii, and we got remarried in Honolulu. So,
did you do any of the landing exercises in Paekakarki that happened? No.
I was always here. I was an engineer, and I was doing things and building things and trying to do things, and all that. And I was here when that happened.
So tell us a little bit about that, what happened that day. Did it all happen, was there just one accident, or were there multiple accidents?
Well, what happened, they were unloaded out on the other side of Kapiti Island, the big ships. And a storm come up, and they called off the landings. But a lot of the Higgins boats had already been lined up to go in. And they capsized. The storm was really terrific. And nobody will ever know why or what for. But it happens that way all the time. And back in the States at Camp Pendleton, we have maneuvers at, I forget the name of the area we had there, but we lost 38 Marines in the rocks there and drowned and caught on the rocks. But there's nothing you can do. When you get 5, 6, 7, 8,000 men moving like that, there's always going to be accidents. Tanks run over them, and everything else, You can't prevent the accidents because it's just too much. And I think that when they called off the storm here, they knew that they were in big trouble. And I recall a lot of it because I was down here at Paekakariki and there was a whole bunch of Maori ladies were talking about it because they'd gone along the beach and picked up the bodies.
And how many people do you think died there?
I think there was 140. And the Marine Corps said 7. And then somebody said 10. But they censored things like that. They didn't want it to get out because they didn't want to get it to the American. Like Tarawa, we lost 1,040 killed and 2,000 wounded in 71 hours. And I'd say 20 to 25% of them drowned going into the beach.
It's interesting. I've got a contact of someone who was actually hired to go and pick up bodies as far down as Tatahi Bay and as far north as Tohoro.
That's right.
When you were in the camp, were you in the camp on the day the accident happened?
Mm-hmm.
What was the atmosphere like in the camp? Did you see the bodies come in?
There's nothing you can do. And it's one of those things that happen with these amphibious landings. That anything can happen. And the storm come up, and it was a terrific storm. And these Higgins boats are only made of plywood, and they put approximately 20 people in to each one of them. And when they go off the ship, you go down, you take a chance because you go off on rope ladders, and you have to hold on to the vertical and put your feet into the horizontal rope thing. And a lot of people would get halfway down, and the Higgins boat would come up, and the big boat would go down, and they get caught between the ship and everything, and there's nothing you can do. But you got to be smart enough. And in those days, in our 782 gear, web gear, we had hooks. And we were told and knew that you got to unhook all your web gear so that you can get out of it if you go in the water. And a lot of people didn't do it. So it happens. And any amphibious landing, there's going to be casualties. There's no way around you get it. And you just got to be careful.
And they say that the bodies were buried up in Mackay's cemetery.
Well, I didn't know about that. I remember there was some Maori women here at the Paekak pub who helped bring bodies up off the beach. And that's about all I know about it, because I wasn't involved picking up the bodies or anything like that. But it was a damn shame, but they were already in the boats when the storm come up, so there was nothing they could do.
And during the war, when accidents like that would happen and they would bury people, what was the ceremony? Was bugle play? Or
no. You give American government, they always bring their boys home. And even today, they're still looking for some flyers and everything. But they took the Marines back there.
They did. They exhumed the bodies 6 months later.
And they did that to all the war. And in Guadalcanal, all the bodies were recovered and taken back there. And it's still that way, and they bring them all home. So it's a good thing. Mm. And you're fortunate. I've been fortunate right through the whole war into Korea. That I didn't get hurt badly at all. Mine was fungus and malaria and dengue fever and all this other stuff. And I've survived the whole thing into this now, and I just loving life.
There are things. I mean, my great uncle Harry was in Guadalcanal as part of the New Zealand force there. And he, when he came home, apparently had screaming nightmares for years and years afterwards. A lot of people today, and that one guy was talking about him and his wife there. It's never bothered me one way or the other. And I spoke to the Lions Club down in the Rakaya River, and there was about 50, 60 people there. And they kept asking me questions. How did I feel? Killing people. And I said, I don't have any feelings at all. That's just your job. And that's exactly what it is. And you can't feel. I've never had any recourse or thing at all, and I've lived a good life and raised the family and done everything and still having fun and enjoy life. And it's just part of the... I want to come to your house and hang out at your bar and shoot some pool.
Well, that after Mars died in 1993, and I reconnoitered and made like all the doors. I made them another foot wider so it'd all be open. And the only thing it's got doors on is the bedrooms, the bathroom, and the laundry room and that. And the rest of the house is wide open. And I got overhead fans and underfloor heating and the bar. Marge had bought the bar for me, and it's the Marine bar. And what you'd really like, you'd never guess what. I got a color point Persian cat. He's 8.5 years old. And you wouldn't guess what his name is. Semper Fidelis. And he likes his name. But we have a lot of fun. The boys and I are very close, and they come over all the time and drink all my beer, and I drink Jack Daniels on the rocks, and I do everything, and I eat everything, and life's good for me. And I had a big operation a year and a half ago, I think it was, and had a titanium metal valve put in the aorta and bypasses and all sorts of things, and I've had prostate cancer. I think I've had everything that I can get. Then I had my eyes done, and they told me, Dr. Talk says, you're going to see everything in a new light, and they took out the old lenses and put in artificial ones. And it was the greatest thing, so I don't have to wear glasses. I like it. I wear the dark glasses because everything's bright, But it's an amazing thing, and to be 88, and my knees are shot, and I had an MRI, I guess, 4 months ago, and the doctors told me not to worry about it. Your knees don't get any operations. It won't do any good. And arthritis, I got that. There's nothing you can do about that. So, and every day's fun. I enjoy life every day.
I just wanted to go back to the camp and could you describe for us your living conditions?
Well, that's easy. Yeah. The pyramidal tents, they called them. And they had 8 bunks in there. And all we had, and even at home today, I've got my 2 Marine Corps blankets folded up in the back bedroom. And I got those in 1940. And Welling and the boys said I should throw them out. But all we had was just these blankets. They were packed away. And they had a pot-bellied stove inside the tent. And I think it was white gas that fired them up. But it was very cold up there. And we were up on the upper side of Mackay's Crossing, and the 2nd Regiment. And so it was good living. We had a lot of fun. Even with as bad as the war and everything, that the Marines have a great, they get along really well, you know, with everything. But the walks to Palmerston North and Foxton and all these other things, there was nothing to them, you know. You were just fit as a fiddle, you know, you could do it. The only thing, like malaria, gets you down. And when Marge and I got married in September, it was August, by golly. And I knew I was leaving on November 1st. And I went to St. Mary of Angels Church and to get married, and they wouldn't marry me because I don't believe in any religion. And so, anyway, we had to get married in the back of the church. Couldn't get out in the front there because she was Catholic. And so
they married you anyway. They did marry you.
Yeah, I got married. So anyway, then they had a reception up at her mother's house. And I went up there, and I got so sick I just couldn't, from malaria and all that. And they got an ambulance and took me up to Anderson Park, up to the hospital. So I spent the whole first day.
Your wedding night.
Wedding night in the hospital. On the top bunk, too, they had 2-tier bunks. Oh, I remember that, yeah. And I blame it on the port wine I drank there at Eva's. I think it was mostly shoe polish, because your tongue was black in the morning when you drank it. So anyway, and then I forget, we went aboard ship, and it was sad then because she knew I was going. And November the 1st, we sailed out of here.
And you went to Tarawa.
And we landed over there November the 20th. But I did a silly thing. I jumped ship and run all the way up Willow Street to where she was, and said goodbye again, and then run all the way back to the ship again. And then they put me down as a PAL because I went over without stuff and everything. So before we landed at Tarawa, they said no more. But no, it was a sad part. And then the war over there, the censors were terrible, and you had no communications about phoning or anything like they got in Iraq and all these places today. They can phone their wives twice a day. And they censored all your mail. And so we were really separated for 5 years.
Unbelievable.